100 years ago, this bird's eye view of Boston would look completely different. To transport 31 million travelers per year, Boston Logan International Airport kept up with the exponentially growing air traffic demand without considering the environmental damage it was responsible for. First opening in 1923, Boston Logan Airport benefited from the exposure provided by international air travel. The city of Boston also encouraged the airport's development while simultaneously building Boston's infrastructure. In the 1930s, the introduction of the commercial aircraft increased Boston Logan's volume of air traffic. From the 1920s to the 1950s, public attitudes around environmental awareness were virtually non-existent. People were engrossed with the potential for profitability and growing the infrastructure of Boston. Despite the Great Depression, air travel continued to grow. Almost every flying celebrity, from Charles Lindbergh to Amelia Earhart, passed through Boston at some point. To keep up with the air travel demand of the mid-20th century, Boston Logan nearly doubled its size by filling 1,800 acres of the Boston Harbor to add new runways. However, residents in the surrounding communities started to voice their opinions for the first time.
Sometimes they go through my living room window and sometimes through my bedroom window.
The work of environmentalists in the 1960s, such as Rachel Carson, grew public involvement in environmental protection. For the first time ever, Americans were becoming personally responsible for their environment. At the peak of the 1960s, public awareness of Boston Logan's contribution to poor noise, air, and water quality arose. The airport began regulating its emissions and air traffic patterns to see where improvements could be made. With the goal of reducing its environmental impact, Boston Logan undertook its largest expansion in the 1970s. This expansion included the acquisition of a major residential island off the coast of the Boston Harbor. The public was concerned that adding new runways to Boston Logan would further increase the noise, air, and water pollution that surrounding communities were experiencing. Taking the public's environmental concerns into consideration, Boston Logan's 1970s expansion resulted in a net effect on environmental impact while nearly doubling the travel capacity of the airport. Boston Logan has now implemented modern organizational policies to ensure that the environmental management policy is available to all. Today, environmental considerations are included in all operational and financial decisions made by the airport. As a result of Boston Logan's efforts to reduce its environmental impact, it is now named one of the most eco-friendly airports in the world. Boston Logan's efforts inspired similar initiatives throughout the city, promoting a new era of environmental consciousness.